Hello, friends, and welcome to day 35 of 90, the video challenge from Broken to Beautifully Blended to you as we look to enter 2020 on a roll. We want 2020 to be good, so we're investing in it now, finishing 2019 strong. So, last night when we did our video, it was a little somber. We had been in an argument-filled evening. Everybody has them. Every married couple at some point or another gets into arguments. And especially if you are making progress, if you're pushing forward, if you're making advancements in what God's called you to do or what God's called you to be, then the enemy will find a way to get into and find little things and turn them into big things. So that's what happened to us yesterday. We were arguing about one of the kids, and it blew up more into
Well, and we weren't necessarily arguing about one of the kids. That was the surface thing that was discussed. And then there was a discussion about money. And then there was a discussion about communication, which was the root of what we were dealing with yesterday. And that I think is important for people to know. So I went today and got my hair cut. And
because we had an argument. You went and got your hair cut?
No, but I went and got my hair cut. And one of the things that Crystal talked about was that people don't know how to fight well. They don't understand that they're not fighting against each other, that they're fighting against the enemy, that he wants to steal, kill, and destroy. And it took us a long time to figure out how to fight well.
Well, we don't fight well.
Well,
we still struggle.
We get to a resolution, though, just like we did last night of, okay, this is what we're really coming against. Instead of the first 5 or 6 years, it was just a perpetual fight.
Yeah. I think that the kids remember those days whenever we argue like we did last night.
Yeah.
Lauren said at one point last night, you guys argue all the time. And I said, well, we haven't really argued like this in quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting. Kids won't remember the bad times. We've talked about that in some of the other videos. Kids won't necessarily remember those times unless they're triggered. That's a big word in today's day and age, triggered. But when it's triggered, then they remember it, and it becomes a much bigger deal.
Mm-hmm.
So, when you get into an argument with your spouse, take a few minutes, walk the other way, cool off, and then, cooler heads can usually prevail. You might have to do that 2 or 3 times. But ultimately, if we are focused on what the root of our problem is, which is the war that's being waged in the spiritual realm around us all the time, then you can usually get it under control.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyway, that was last night. Today is day 2 of the prayer challenge, and it was about being established by God, right?
Yep.
So, what did you get out of today's lesson?
Well, I've had some divine appointments that I have been the recipient of, and some divine appointments that I have been able to be the other side of it, knowing that this person is getting something out of it. And so that's kind of what it speaks to, is the divine appointments, and that if you're not paying attention, if you're so consumed, I don't have my phone, if you're so consumed here, then it's hard to see the divine appointments that are right around you, because they'll be around you.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's said in there that God puts us in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
There's many times in my life where I don't necessarily think that's the case, but I don't work on the same time frame that God works on, and I certainly don't think the way that God thinks. So I have to stop and think about, I'm here for a reason. What is that reason? So that's one of the things that I took out of it. Another thing that I got today was God is not great because of the big things. God is great because he cares about the small things.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's one thing that I think is hard for people to grasp. Our God is omniscient. He's omnipresent. He's omni. I can't even think of all of them. But he cares about every detail of our lives. He's numbered the hairs on our head. And we talked about that not long ago because I said my number's shrinking because my hair keeps receding. But God knows every single thing about us. And there are people that I know personally, that have taught, God doesn't care about this aspect of your life, or God doesn't care about that aspect of your life. He's busy doing other things. And that is 100% not true. God cares about every single detail of our lives.
Mm-hmm.
And it's whether we, are dating somebody, whether we're going to the store, whether we're in a time of prayer, whether we're reading the Word, whether we're walking down the aisle to get married or making the choice to remarry with kids. God is in every single detail of our lives.
Yeah. Every single detail. As to what we put into our mouth, as what we put into our mind. He cares about it all.
We talk about in today's day and age, well, not so much anymore. Now, whenever we were kids, going back into the 90s and the late 80s for me, the term GIGO, I don't know if anybody remembers GIGO. It was a computer term, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
So if you put garbage into a program, you're going to get garbage out. That's just the ways that computers work. Our minds are the same way. What we put into our mind is what's going to come out of our mind. Bible reads that whatever's in a man's heart is going to come out of his mouth. And so it's the same thing. Whatever you put in is what you're going to get out. Whatever you sow, you're going to reap. Mm-hmm. And so...
well, and you think back to like whenever we first got married and you weren't having to eat Hamburger Helper anymore. And we were cooking and you were convinced that I was not gifted at doing laundry. That I didn't know how to do laundry because your clothes were shrinking.
You were shrinking my shirts.
Yeah. And so whenever you finally realized that your clothes weren't shrinking, you were growing, and you started to make that change, that is part of the catalyst that got you to praying circles as you were running. So even God's in all of it. He's in the overeating. He's in the bad choices, and he sees down the line where this is going to weave in to where you can go, couldn't we have just skipped that?
Yeah, and it's funny. My mom was saying something the other day about, our lives are preordained and, God knows every step. And that's true. I really believe that God knows everything that's going to happen in our lives. But the great thing is he gives us a choice. We have the free will to choose to do what he wants us to do or not. I had a discussion with Lauren tonight. She was upset. And I said, you're making a choice to continue in this, or you can choose to stop. And I love that God gives us the free will to choose to follow him. He doesn't force us to. Mm-hmm. It's not something where we are predestined and we have no say in it. We have plenty of say in whether we follow what God calls us to do or not. But he gives us that free will.
How many times have you done something that you know was the opposite of what God wanted you to do and thought, oh, that was a great choice?
You mean today?
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's an often thing.
Yeah. And then there's the other side of it. There's the mercy, the new mercies every day, because we do it every day.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We're a little slow at this.
Yeah. It took me a while to get around the statement, God will never love you any less than he loves you right now. No matter what we do, no matter how far we stray, no matter how many mistakes we make along the way, God still loves us, and he still has enough grace to cover our imperfections. So, thankful for all of that. Anyway, so that was day 2. We're praying specific things for all of the people in our family. And so we'll get into that a little bit more as we go along over the 40 days. But what's tomorrow?
Tomorrow in the book.
Yeah.
So day 3 is amazing things. Yeah. It's about consecrating yourself.
Okay. All right. Tomorrow is amazing things. So get up and start your day in the Word. Start your day praying circles. And we'll see what comes of that. Every day in Thanksgiving, we're saying something that we're thankful for. So it's November 5th. We finally got caught up the other day. So what are you thankful for today?
Today I am thankful for our relationship, where it has come from and where it is now.
I'm thankful for forgiveness. I'm thankful that my wife will forgive me whenever we argue. I'm thankful that God forgives us for the short-sightedness when we argue. I'm thankful that he forgives me whenever I'm just human and weak. I'm thankful for his forgiveness whenever I say things I shouldn't say or do things I shouldn't do. So I'm thankful for forgiveness and for grace. So, all right. Day 36 is coming tomorrow. Day 36 of this challenge. Day 3 of the prayer challenge. Day 6 of thankfulness. We just got all kinds of things going on.
Look at us doing math.
I know. I don't even think that was math, but that was 3 numbers put together pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm getting better.
It's going to be a word problem.
Yeah. Something. So anyway, we will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great evening and keep up the good work.